If you are a subscriber and you got the weekend bonus show from me and or the weekend Patreon podcast from me, you know that your humble and obedient servant really lost it. Oh boy, did I. I think I'm still hoarse from screaming because of what the son of a bitch Donald Trump was doing to millions of Americans. You know, I've listened to some of the commentators now that the orange pig has signed that $900 billion relief bill. And I've listened to some of the commentators asking the question, why did he wait 3 days? Well, the answer is very simple. The most obvious answer is because he could. And because he could, and because he's a total son of a bitch, he did. And I can't help but think of the people who were desperate, who this orange bastard put through hell Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What a scum-sucking pig, Donald Trump. Jeez. I will try to avoid some of the more strident, some of the more strident responses to this bastard in today's podcast, although, you know, I've made that promise many, many times and just can't seem to keep it. I guess it's because I'm dealing with such a criminal, such a criminal unlike any that I've ever come across or read about. I think he's right up there with the mass murderers, because that's what he's done. His non-policies, his non-leadership on this COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in the deaths of thousands, tens of thousands of people. It would have been so unnecessary with leadership. Yesterday evening, the orange bastard abruptly signed the measure which provides $900 billion in pandemic relief and funding for the government through next September, which ends this last minute histrionics, or it wasn't even histrionics. It was just Trump's way of giving the middle finger to America, including the 73 assholes that voted for him. But this is how Trump operates. If he doesn't get 100% cooperation or adulation or fellation, he gives a finger to everybody. This is Trump. This is the workings of a psychopathological gangster. This is Trump. So it ended, to a degree, the last minute turmoil that he created over this legislation that, in fact, offers just a thread. It's not really a lifeline to millions of Americans. It's more like a life thread. It's not a rope. It's not a chain. It's a sewing thread, thin little line that says, here, grab this. Maybe you can hold on for an additional week. And in waiting the way he did, he cost millions of Americans that extra week. Instead of getting 11 weeks of extra Social Security or extra unemployment comp, now they'll get 10 weeks. What a miserable son of a bitch. And the Republicans, the Christian Fascist Party in the Congress and here in Georgia, these two clowns that are running for re-election in the Senate, not a word. Not a word. Oh, that cowardly little weasel, Pat Toomey, is that his name, from Pennsylvania, Republican, who went on some of the Sunday talk shows yesterday to just, well, I think that the best thing for him to do would be to sign it. Oh, God. What is it about Trump Well, no, that's the wrong question. I realize I've been asking the wrong question. What is it about the Christian fascists that they let a piece of human waste like Donald Trump so intimidate them? And I think I've answered the question before. It is the way they were brought up to believe in a sky spook, to believe in some hairy thunderer or cosmic muffin, or however you want to see this concept of the creator that these Christian fascists have so deeply embedded in their unconscious minds they can't escape. No matter what, they can't escape. So obviously, beyond the supernatural world, they look for the same type of creature in the natural world. And Trump, being the blustering gangster, just like the Christian fascist, God is a blustering gangster too. I mean, let's face it. The God of Abraham is a goddamn mass murderer himself, itself, herself, whatever. A mass killer who has no problem eliminating entire countries of human beings. So why not? And that's all I can come up with, because Trump is a coward. And I think anyone in the United States Senate or U.S. House of Representatives, I mean, you have to have a modicum of intelligence to get that far. Not much, but some. Or instead of intelligence, you have to learn the art of manipulation, which the Republicans have learned to a fairly well. But that question that hangs over everything, why do they allow this orange piece of crap to push them around and act in such fear and terror? And I think I found the answer, at least the answer that satisfies me. They worship Trump in the same way they worship their diabolical mass murderer of a God. That's all I can come up with. Anyway, his signing came after 2 critical unemployment programs lapsed. He wanted to make sure, I guess he figured the people on unemployment are people that voted against him. And the people that played the stock market are people that voted for him. I don't know what he was thinking. But he waited until 2 critical unemployment programs lapsed, which, what does that give to millions of Americans unemployed? A delay. Guarantees a delay of benefits to millions of Americans. I mean, Trump is an ignorant son of a bitch. I acknowledge that. He's the stupidest man. I don't know, stupidest man ever in the presidency, no question. Possibly the stupidest man on earth. And that's saying something. I think there's 7 billion of us, right? But his stupidity is mixed in with this diabolical evil. And he does this shit because, I don't know, what does he see himself? As some sort of satanic power? He certainly doesn't see himself as a godlike power, but a satanic power that can do whatever he wants. So millions of unemployed Americans, including millions who worship at the altar of Trump, will now have money taken from them courtesy of this demonic son of a bitch Trump. And the Christian fascists, not a word. Not a word. Oh, no, not a word. So this so-called crisis was one that the orange bastard manufactured himself. After he, how's the New York Times put it? After he blindsided lawmakers and White House officials with a videotaped implicit threat last Tuesday to veto the package, which his top filletors had helped negotiate, and which he cleared both chambers of Congress with overwhelming bipartisan support a week ago. So then the 5,500-page legislation was flown to Florida, where the president was golfing and probably spending an awful lot of time with a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg over his bed, playing with himself. And on Thursday, nothing. Friday, nothing. Saturday, nothing. Sunday, nothing. And then Sunday night. Oh, my goodness. Well, let's all rise and thank the mighty demon. So having kept his tiny little mouth shut during all of those negotiations. And they weren't negotiations between Republicans and Democrats. They were Democrats laying out in very simple, easy to understand terms what the American public needed, met with the full force of the idiocy and the Christian fascist bullshit personified by Steve Mnuchin, who is a Jewish fascist. Yeah, they do exist. Stephen Miller, he's one. Jared Kushner, he's another one. But these are Christian fascists. So they all tried to negotiate, the Democrats. The Republicans didn't do shit. The Christian fascists didn't do shit. So after all those efforts by the Democrats up against the Christian fascists, Trump suddenly threatened to withhold his signature. Oh, and then he came up with that demand of $2,000 in direct payments to individuals over the $600. Let's be clear on something, Truth Seekers. Trump doesn't give a rat's ass if it's $2,000 or $2 million or a nickel. He doesn't care. This was not some act of compassion on his part when he demanded $2,000. Like I said over the weekend, that was his way of sticking his thumb in Mitch McConnell's eye. Because Mitch McConnell had the absolute gall to refer to Joe Biden as the president-elect. Trump doesn't give a shit about Americans. I don't understand why the 73 million who voted for him can't get that through their jelly-like fucking brains. What is wrong with you? Oh, you ask that all the time, Malloy. Back off. What's wrong with them? They're Christian fascists. That's what's wrong with them. Oh, and they are QAnon assholes and proud pricks and the rest of these people. So even though Trump made a big noise about 2,000 instead of 600 as if he gave a shit, the Republicans had insisted on keeping the size of the direct payments low in order to accommodate conservative concerns about the size of the package. I would like to see every one of the Christian fascists in the United States Congress all of a sudden have their paychecks withheld from them, and then let's give them $600, or let's give them unemployment compensation. No, let's not do that. Let's give them a one-time payment of $600 and then $300 a month unemployment comp for 10 weeks. And these Christian fascist little crybaby hypocritical liars would lose their shit. They would just go completely crazy. But they're willing to impose that on Americans, right? Does that not tell you something? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcast. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.